You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today's episode 132. Ask Amber, how much time should I be spending on training? If you're a business owner or entrepreneur who wants actionable solutions to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Okay, so I have something new for you today. I'm going to do something I've never done before. And what I'm doing is stripping the audio from a Q&A session that I did inside of my Time Management Made Simple programs, where I was doing live bonus Q&A sessions. And I'm bringing this to you for three reasons. One is I get asked this question a lot. Two, there are a ton of value nuggets in the answer that I don't think I could thoroughly do again without a lot more work in this episode. Like, the best place is to reuse this content because I was kind of on fire about the topic. And three, which leads me to number three, is that the recording is totally real, totally candid, and there's no bullet points, no scripting. It's just me answering from my heart, from myself to my client, a question that I think that you are probably struggling with too. So the root of her question is this: how much time should I be spending on training? And what bucket does it go in? And the buckets that she is referring to are the buckets that I explain in how to find your high value activities as a business owner, entrepreneur, CEO of your business. Because I'm often asked, well, this is great, and I get, like, I need to be more productive, but more productive on what activities? Like, what activities identify or qualify as high value activities in my business? Because when everything seems important and there's so much to do, it's really hard to cut through the weeds and be certainly clear about these are the activities that I need to be focusing on a consistent basis to grow my business. And so I created this bucket model in which I believe that you can identify your high value activities will always be found in one of these four buckets. The first bucket is marketing and visibility. The second bucket is sales, right? Like, if you're not having sales conversations, you don't get to the third bucket, which is servicing your clients. And then the fourth bucket is leadership. And so this is self-leadership, and it's also leadership of your team, because you may not be the only one serving your clients. As your business grows, you may not be the only one, or maybe not selling your service or product any longer, but you're leading somebody, you're supervising somebody to do your sales for you. Or maybe you've outsourced your social media, like your marketing or visibility strategy. Someone else is doing that. But at the end of the day, as the leader of the business, you are leading that team to execute on those first four buckets, which will drive revenue. And that is ultimately your goal. Revenue is your first and foremost goal above all else, because if there's no revenue, there's no business, you will be out of business. And for those of you that can flow with me, I mean drive profits. I think the only number we should be looking at is profits, but most of the world talks about revenue numbers and revenue goals. So I'll give you both. And then there's the other bucket, the fifth bucket. And the fifth bucket is literally what robs us every single day of the time that we would otherwise want to be investing in the first four buckets. And so that represents, yes, there are important activities, and yes, there are things that need to continue to be done to run your business. But if we don't have containers and clearly identify the non-negotiables that we need to have happen in our business on a regular basis to grow it, we are not being productive. We are not executing the way that we need to be executing as leaders in our business. The question came up about, well, where does learning, training, coaching, mentorship fall in the bucket model? And before we dive into my response to her, I want to remind you that this episode is being brought to you by my Time Management Made Simple program, which ironically is where this Q&A session came from. And so to find out more, head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/time. I'm taking people that are interested on an interest list. The program is currently happening right now, so I do not have open enrollment. But if you are interested in joining the next round of Time Management Made Simple, head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/time. And now let's get to the straight talk.
I'm wondering if the following belong in other training development programs for clients. No. Coaching, receiving coaching, masterminds, business development. How much time should we be spending on the other bucket per week approximately? So this is interesting, and I love it because someone else asked a question. I think it's Christy, and she had asked the same thing, like, where does the training and coaching and personal development go on the 5-bucket model? And I have been thinking a lot about this because I know that however I answer this, it needs to be a very well thought out answer. That's what I'm trying to say, because I personally am always having a governor on my learning. And I say that in the most respectful way, but I'll go into that more in depth. But let me answer the first part of the question. What goes in the other bucket? The other bucket to me is anything that it takes to run and operate your business that is not under the first 4 buckets. And the first 4 buckets were created because those are usually the ones that, if not managed correctly, made time for, or edged out, will actually crumble your business. And so how did they create that? It's because they're closest to the dollar, and our business needs to make dollars. And when we invest in those buckets on a consistent basis, you will see the effect on the growth of your business and your revenue, thus profitability. That's how those 4 buckets got created. And they were created because I saw it over and over and over with my clients when we looked at what's not happening in your business on a consistent basis, that if was happening would drive your key metrics, right? And inevitably, it always fell under those 4 buckets. I have never had a client tell me they don't have enough time for coaching, training, mentoring, masterminding, and that if they could just do that, it would have a big impact on their business. Why I said that I put a governor on my learning. Now, before I dive into that, let me tell you something. I love to learn. I am a perpetual student. I believe that the value that I can provide to the world, meaning my spouse and my husband and my clients and this community, even to my friends, come from me always growing and evolving. The one thing that lights me up the most when I think about what my life will look like in 5 years is really about the person that I'll become. Because when I think of the person that I was 5 years ago and what I didn't know and what I didn't know I could do or accomplish to today is mind blowing. And that only happened through learning and coaching and finding the right people to mentor me. Now, I do believe it should be a consistent place on your schedule. But this is a place where I believe there's a lot of bloat and there's a lot of excess in feeling like we're never enough to actually take action, that we always have to learn. And so I did a lot more learning in my earlier years because there was a lot more learning to be had. But let me tell you where I'm at now to run the business and the company that I have now. And I think this will help. And while it doesn't answer exactly about which bucket it goes into, I do believe it's still the other bucket. And by the way, the other bucket isn't a bucket you ignore. The other bucket are definitely things that it takes to run your business, but it's not going to be your most highly valuable, most productive bucket, because in business, it's investing your best time into the activities that will propel you towards your goals, which is revenue generating. So here's my mentality on learning now. It's just-in-time learning. And so what I'm always doing is an assessment and analyzing where are there holes in my business, or Where are there challenges in my business, which, by the way, are always me? And so what are those challenges? And if I knew something or I understood something, what would that be that would change that for me, right? And so just for example, if my strategy and goal was to be an Instagram influencer, because I believe that would actually affect the growth of my business and the people I can serve and my email list and like all of that, right? If that was my primary strategy in my business and I do not possess the skill sets to be an Instagram influencer, I have two options. Find someone that can train me to close the gap and then I execute, or find someone I can hire to execute and it closes the gap. So now I look at, is it the best investment of my time? Does it really benefit the business for me to learn something and then execute on that? And where I'm at now in my business, more often than not, it's about hiring the expert to help execute. Now, where did I get training and support most recently in my business? Hands down, 100%, there was a gap in my skills, sales skills. And this was back last year, like 2018, end of 2017. And I hired an amazing sales coach. And Cher's focus was on relationship sales, how to sell through building relationships, which felt really right for me. But I knew it was a skill set gap that if I learned and I could execute on as the owner and CEO and face of the company, it would have the biggest impact on my dollars. Sales. 2, the next coach I hired was a online sales, like launch strategist coach. And that served a very specific purpose for me to clearly understand the environment and the place in which I wanted to move my business and have a bigger impact, which was through automation and courses and things like that. And I didn't possess that knowledge. And so I hired a coach. And then I did the execution and my team did the execution based on my newfound knowledge. And so I just hope those examples are helpful to you. Another example would be with my clients, right? Okay, here's the story. My clients come to me because they have a gap. And my one-on-one clients and you being in this program have identified that if you close the gap on your time management, or your ability to execute, right? So with my one-on-one clients, it's about execution, peak performance. In this program, it's about time management. Each and every one of you made the choice to invest your time and your money because this was a gap that you saw that if closed would allow you to probably take more action on your high-value activities, which I define as those 4 buckets. I believe that is a highly valuable use of your time, just like I invested in sales coaching and online launching, because I could tie it together as this was a pain point now that if I closed and learned and executed on this new skill set, it would have rippling effects in other areas of my business and thus affect revenue.
I have loved having you listen to Productivity Straight Talk. I'm sure this episode was valuable for you, but I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So take some action today. To find out more about working with me in my private one-on-one peak performance coaching program and to schedule a discovery call, head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/coaching. And if you've loved this episode of Productivity Straight Talk, be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you never miss another episode. So that's my Straight Talk for you today. And until next time, have a productive week.